Thank you so much for joining me today on Everyday Lutheran. In today's Bible study, we're going to begin our journey through the book of Exodus. And so we're going to start with Exodus 1 through 13, Egypt and deliverance. Now, here we really have people going from citizens to becoming slaves. At the end of Genesis, we had Joseph rising to power and welcoming his family and friends to come and live with him in the land of Egypt. But soon, Joseph is forgotten. Many of the people around view the Hebrew people as second-class citizens. The Egyptians begin viewing them almost as second-class citizens, people to be despised, people who are taking over their nation. And so they begin to ridicule and persecute and begin to find ways in which they can demean them. Jealousy of what the Hebrew people had. For God continues to bless them. They continue to grow. They continue to be able to prosper in this beautiful land. But slavery comes gradually. The Hebrew people don't even notice that they're becoming slaves. But the Egyptians know full well the control they're striving for and the power that they're longing to hold on to. Eventually, slavery was simply accepted. That's the message that they had heard and received and now began to believe. As we continue to dive into Exodus, we focus on one man in particular, Moses. Now, Moses was born as a Hebrew child. But Pharaoh ordered all male Hebrew children under the age of 2 to be thrown into the Nile River. But his mother placed him in a basket and placed him in the river. The river and God saved him by taking him into the palace, where Pharaoh's sister brought him into the palace and took care of him. Here Moses grew up in the palace, having all the extravagance, having all of the benefits of being a royal, and not even realizing where he had come from. Moses grows up with all the education, all the learning, and even begins to think that he himself is an Egyptian. No one tells him otherwise. But one day, Moses kills an Egyptian guard, for he was beating a Hebrew. And something stirred inside Moses. He didn't feel right. He didn't feel like this is what they were supposed to be doing. It's here, when he kills this Egyptian, that he learns that he himself is a Hebrew. Realizing that he is a Hebrew and no longer an Egyptian, he feels like he's a man without a nation, a man without a home, a man without a history, not knowing where to go or what to do. He runs away from Egypt and goes out into the wilderness, hoping to find himself, trying to escape his past and trying to run from everything that was holding him back. Hoping to find himself. It's here that God calls him through a burning bush. Now, this is one of the most well-known stories throughout the scriptures. Moses being called by a burning bush. It sounds extraordinary. It sounds amazing. And for so many of us, we would love to have that clarity, that clear spoken word from God of what it is we're supposed to do and how it is we're supposed to do it. It's here at the burning bush that we hear of the name of God. I am. Here at the burning bush, God delivers a promise to Moses. You will be my people, and I will be your God. Here we have the restoration of a relationship that the people had been longing for, that God had originally intended for the whole world, and now God is calling these people to something new. Moses responds with, "Send someone else. I'm not eloquent in speech. I'm not able to do this. I am not up to this challenge that you are calling me to do. I am a weak man. I have no nation. I am not Egyptian. I am not Hebrew. Neither one will accept me. So Moses is convinced by the power of God of how it is in his weakness he will be able to do miracles. He will be able to convince, not because he has the word, not he has the ability, for he has a speech impediment, but rather God will use his weakness to be able to reach the people and show God's strength. When Moses goes and speaks before Pharaoh, Moses warns him that plagues will come. Plagues will come until Pharaoh releases the Hebrew people. Pharaoh hears that message and says, "You have no power over me. But now, my power will be shown." The Hebrew people must work twice as hard, but the output of their labors must remain the same. The plagues that bestowed upon Egypt so that the Hebrew people might be released started first with water turning to blood. A truly miraculous sight to see the entire river Nile, to see all of the waters around to be turning to blood. However, the Hebrew people still had water to drink. As the water turns to blood, as it becomes clouded, the animals have nowhere to go and they begin to die. The frogs that are able to leave the waters, and they actually leave and go out into the nation of Egypt. And so frogs become the next plague upon the land. But as they go out, they enter into a dry place, a barren place, where there's no water for them to have as a home. And so they themselves begin to die. From all of this rotting carcasses in the water and on land, lice begins to populate. And this lice spreads from place to place, and the people become overwhelmed by the lice. The third plague. From all of these rotting corpses, flies come around, and that becomes the fourth plague. All of these things begin having havoc upon the livestock, in which they themselves begin stressed by everything that's going on, and they begin to suffer as well. The Egyptian people begin also to have their own problems. They begin to have skin irritations and boils that actually show themselves on everyone, and it gets passed from person to person. Next, God has hail fall from the sky, destroying crops, wounding people, and reminding each and every one of them of the power of God in the world. What the hail does not destroy, God sends a swarms of locusts to descend upon the land, eating the crops, taking away the food, and reminding the people that everything comes from God. The eighth plague. We also have here, in all of these, a reversal of the creation story. How everything goes back and is taken away one thing at a time from the creatures, the human creation that has gone against God time and time again. Which brings us to the very first day and the ninth plague. Darkness. Darkness descends upon Egypt, and the people are left in fear and wonder of what it is that's going to happen. And echo back to the first day of creation, in which God created light and darkness. In all of these plagues, nothing is powerful enough, though, to have Pharaoh release the Hebrew people until it comes to the 10th plague. Until we come down to the death of a firstborn, the very calling that Pharaoh has against the Hebrew people. and yet now will be brought against him. And echo back to the very time in which Moses was saved, but also going back to the very creation story of God creating people and bringing life into the world. These plagues continually remind not only the Egyptian people, but also the Hebrew people of the power of God being in the world and being in relationship with each and every one of us, going to the very ends of the earth to be able to save these people. It is in this last plague of death that the Hebrew people must be saved, where the angel of death will pass over the Hebrew people, but Egypt will suffer. So Moses gives a command to all the Hebrew people that tonight will be the night where the angel of death will come. And in order for the angel of death to pass over them, they must have unleavened bread to eat, no yeast. A lamb will be slaughtered, and the blood of that lamb will be placed upon the doorposts of the door. It will be by the blood of this lamb that the angel of death will pass over the Hebrew people. But any door that does not have it, the firstborn son will perish. Finally, the Hebrew people are set free. Join us next time as we continue our exploration and our study of the book of Exodus. If you like today's Bible study, I invite you to please like and share this message with others so that they may hear this message as well. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's free and you will be notified every time I upload a new video.